Alrighty, in this video we're going to talk about creating primitives and parametric objects. So all of these objects over here under object types, and I can see them in standard primitives, are what are considered primitives. They're the basic objects that other things are built from. Boxes, cones, many of them require multiple clicks and drags in order to create the object. So there's click and drag, let go, drag vertically. As soon as I stop and click again, I'll define the height. All of these objects that I'm building right now are what are considered parametric objects. A parametric object means that that object still has parameters that can be edited to modify the object. So I can see that by going to the Modify panel. Once I'm in the Modify panel, I can adjust the parameters of the object. So I can change its radius, I can change its height. When we turn on edged faces, you can see right now it has 5 height segments. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That can also be adjusted. So I can give it more height segments so that I can add modifiers to it and get more, I guess, smooth curvature out of an object. I can increase the number of sides, so we can give it 36 sides. We could give it 20 sides. We could give it 3 sides. Cylinder can't have less than 3 sides. So it's as much or as little as it can have to actually define the object. Again, all of these objects, because they're still parametric objects, still have the parameters available for adjusting all of the, I guess, qualities of how that object looks. We move over to the cone, we'll adjust our height segments, we'll adjust our number of sides, and let's adjust the height. So as we adjust the height, we can also adjust radius 1, which is the base, and radius 2, which is the top of the object. I'll hit Alt-W to maximize that view so we can see that a little bit better. So as I adjust radius 2 larger or smaller, I can either make it much larger at the top or bring it all the way down to a point. Any of these values that I right-click on, I can set to 0. So we can bring that back up now. Just click in there and define this. So we hit 1, we'll get 1 foot. And that's not quite big enough, so we'll scrub that up a little bit. Alright, now, if I go back to my Create panel, I have what are standard primitives. Yes, the teapot is actually a primitive. And I also have what are considered extended primitives. The extended primitives are actually pretty cool objects as well. The Hedra is one of those kind of funky objects in Max that allows you to have some pretty bizarre shaped objects. And all of these things are actually animatable as well. So the chamfered box, that's an object that you'll probably use quite a bit. Most things in the real world are not perfectly square corners. So things like a chamfered box that allow you to have multiple segments and kind of rounded edges tend to look a whole lot more realistic than objects like a perfect box that have absolutely square corners. Capsules, spindles, chamfered cylinders. Again, we can increase the number of fillets to round that curve off a bit more. We'll go here and we'll increase the number of sides so we get a much smoother object. We can increase the number of cap segments in case we want to do anything with that end later on. Now, I can still go back to my box, go to my Modify panel, and I can still add length, width, and height segments. That'll always be adjustable until I right-click and convert it to an editable poly. If I never convert this object to an editable poly, I will always have these parameters available. And that goes for all of my primitives. Any of the primitives that were made from either standard primitives or extended primitives will always have those options as long as they're not converted to editable polys or editable mesh. There you go. All right, experiment, experiment, experiment. When you're making primitive objects, just remember that a lot of these objects will need multiple clicks and drags in order to actually define all of the different between radiuses and heights. So click and drag, click and drag, click to define the final product. All right, just remember, a lot of this stuff just depends on experimentation, so feel free to explore.